Er is op dit moment een begrafenis aan de gang. Vorige week een boer van 31.
Dit was wel echt een bloedbad onder de veehouderij.
Het was een tijdje stil rondom de boeren, maar de boerenprotesten zijn weer terug. De provincie Brabant wil namelijk de regels, zoals bijvoorbeeld de stikstofregels, nog verder aanscherpen. Dit is het zoveelste protest, maar wanneer is het nou eens echt genoeg voor de boeren?
Hello to you all. You're watching RHTVLive. We are streaming live from the beautiful city of Maastricht, which is in the south of the Netherlands. And of course, we're going to show where the Netherlands is. If you wait a second. Here we have the beautiful city of Maastricht, which is in the south of the Netherlands. And the clip you just saw was the farmers' protest in the Netherlands. Yep, the farmers are back protesting against the rules and regulations that the Dutch government puts upon them, right? So there was also a farmers' protest in Brussels, and of course we're going to look at that. And there was also a protest in Greece, also a farmers' protest, and we're also going to take a look at that. And we're going to put the focus on the farmers, because they're one of the most important things in the whole structure. You see? So let's take a look at Greece first. Big farmers' protest in Greece. Thousands of Greek farmers have deployed tractors and trucks in dozens of blockades for days as part of a nationwide demonstration, as you can see here. And yeah, we're also going to show some video. So all of Greece was basically, shut down by the farmer, right? And as I said before, we also have some images from Brussels. The farmers were protesting there too, right? So here we have Brussels. As you can see, it's a war zone in Brussels, right? And as I've said before, the European Union wants to get stuff from South America, right? And the farmers are put aside, yep. And they don't want to be put aside. So here we have the farmers protesting in Brussels, putting tire tracks on fire. This is so-called the heart of the European democracy, right? Nobody wants their policy anymore, right? So this is all happening. And I was live before, but we were cut down by Facebook. You know, you're not allowed to tell the truth, otherwise they'll shut you down. Well, we have other ways. So, yeah, this is war that we're in, you know, and we're doing our best to enlighten the audience on what's happening in Europe, right? Very, very important. So, we need to learn from history. Take Zimbabwe, for example. They said, go away, farmer, go away, white farmer, go away. And now their agriculture has been abysmal. And now they are asking those same farmers that they said go away, they're asking them back, right? So it's very easy to say, oh, it's the white guy, you know, but now Zimbabwe is asking these people back, you know, to do something with their land. Yeah. On a recent Saturday in a suburban restaurant here, retirees around the table talking to their cappuccino and banter with their server, who jokingly calls these regulars the young boys. They don't look that young anymore. Anyway, despite the joyful scene, these 9 friends are at center of a raging debate in Zimbabwe, one that could decide not just their individual futures, but the entire countries. 25 years ago, there were approximately 4,500 white farmers violently chased from their commercial farms as part of a government program to redistribute land to Zimbabwe's black majority, right? Very long article. I'm not going to read everything, but now these people need to return to do something with their land. Yeah? So this is all happening. We also saw what happened in South Africa, right? There's a place called Plaasmoorde, which is a very big cross made out of small crosses. And all these small crosses are farmers that have been killed, right? So how can this be? Very, very sad to see what's happening in South Africa, you know. So this is all happening, and we're just pointing out the truth. And we just looked at Zimbabwe, right? Because the farmers were gone, they needed to export lots and lots of food from other countries, and they needed to inflate the Zimbabwe dollar, and inflation was so high that you had $1 trillion or something like that, right? $100 trillion, which was, you know, about $2 or $3 in US currency, right? Not even worth that. So this is what happens when the farmers go. Hyperinflation. You need to buy your food from other countries. Yeah. And those other countries, they have the food and they say, hey, you're buying from us. Now the price is higher. Yeah. So this is why there was inflation during that period in Zimbabwe. You know, they needed more money to buy more food. No? So it's very, very important to note that what's happening here in Brussels, in the EU, and we have to take a look at this and see what's really happening here. The European Union wants the countries broken down, right? This is the program. This is how they can implement the world government. The EU is an embodiment of the world government. The same goes for the United Nations. You know, they're embodiments of the world government. And we know what's really going on, and we're trying to explain.
A gazdáknak 100%-ig van igazuk. Neki két bajuk van most ebben a pillanatban. Az első bajuk az a Mercosur nevű csomag, ami egy szabadkereskedelmi megállapodás lenne a latin-amerikai országokkal, ami megöli a gazdákat. Tehát Magyarország azon országok közé tartozik, aki nem támogatja a Mercosurt. Sokat gondolkodtunk arról, hogy mi volna jó. Voltak erről komoly szakmai viták Magyarországon, végül is az lett a magyar álláspont, hogy ezt nem támogatjuk. Itt is minősített többségre volna szükség, és én úgy látom, hogy vagyunk elegen Mercosur ellenzők, ami lehetetlenné teszi, hogy ezt a megállapodást aláírják. A terv az, hogy a bizottság elnökasszonya még a héten ezt alá akarja írni. Ezt szerintem most itt meg kell, és meg is tudjuk akadályozni. A másik gondja a gazdáknak az a Green Deal, ami azt jelenti, hogy úgy túlszabályozzák az agrár, tehát a mezőgazdasági munkákat, hogy az komoly költséget jelent és versenyhátrányt jelent. Tehát azt kell mondanom, hogy a Mercosur megállapodással lábon lövik az európai gazdákat, de még előtte jól összekötözik a lábaikat, hogy semmi esélyük ne legyen egy globális versenyben. Ezért teljesen igazuk van a gazdáknak, a magyar kormány 100%-ig.
So the Hungarian government 100% behind the farmers. I wish we had such a government, but we don't. Nope. We have the young global leaders from the World Economic Forum who know better and are attacking the farmers in the Netherlands again, right? And so for the people who haven't followed the Dutch political situation, well, we had a cabinet with Wilders, and that cabinet fell because Wilders could not push his agenda through, right? And Wilders said, we're going to have new elections. And now we have Jette, D66, Jette, left-leaning party. And it's very, very sad because the Netherlands is a primary target now for Moscow. Yeah. So I'm not happy with the elections, the results of the elections, because there's a left-leaning party. We're not left or right, you know. The right side is just as corrupt as the left side, but the left side says, come on in, come on in. You can come on in, why not? Bring your whole family. We don't have the space for that anymore. We are one of the most densely populated countries within all of Europe, right? We don't have the space anymore. So, and they also want to attack the farmers, you know, and have the Netherlands be a sort of Zimbabwe. Yeah? Very, very sad thing to see. And getting from bad to worse. And we need your help, America, Patriots, Canada. We need your help. We need to do this together. It's light versus darkness. And, you know, It's very hard to put this in words, but we're trying. We are trying. So remember what Kamala Harris had said about Ukraine? You guys remember that? Ukraine is a small country, and Russia is right next to it. It's a big country. We're going to take a look at that, refresh our memories here. And we're going to comment on that, right? So here we have Kamala Harris explaining the situation within Ukraine. Now, normally you'd say, there was a coup government and they're attacking Russian-speaking Ukrainians and such. But nope, not Kamala Harris. Nope. She's going to teach us about Ukraine. So let's take a listen to this here.
Level of news, even social media, you're seeing everything that's going on right now in the Ukraine. Break it down in layman's terms for people who don't understand what's going on and how can this directly affect the people of the United States.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically that's wrong.
Oh, it's wrong for a big country to attack a small country. Now, wait a minute.
This video is made possible by Curiosity Stream and Nebula. Watch another brand new full-length...
Yeah, we don't need your propaganda. But wait a minute. A big country attacking a small country is wrong. So, let's take a look at the situation here. We have Ukraine, right next to Russia. Now, Russia is a lot bigger, and, Ukraine is a lot smaller, as you can see, right? But if we put this in perspective, a big country attacking a small country is wrong, according to Kamala Harris, right? Now, she has to know, right? I mean, she was in the top of the Democratic Party, so she needs to know. So, a big country attacking a small country is bad. Now, which big country attacked Iraq or Afghanistan? Which big country? Yeah. So it's wrong for Russia to attack Ukraine, even though the NATO is expanding, right? They also want to be in Ukraine, and Russia does not want that because it's right against the Federation. They don't want that. This is why there is a war over there. But a big country attacking a small country is bad. So we have the United States, which is a big country, and we have Iraq, which is a relative small country if you compare it to the United States. If you compare it to the Netherlands, it's big, but that is not wrong. Who is appointed to a trial here? No one. Russia actually attacks Ukraine because there was a coup in Ukraine. As I've said before, they put in radicals shooting Russians and stuff like that, So Russia says, no, we don't want this. We have the Minsk Accords, Minsk 1 and Minsk 2. No more fighting in the Donbass and stuff like that. The last time I said this, Facebook was doing very weird, and suddenly the broadcast was closed. So, Yeah, that is censorship. We're just showing the facts here, right? And on another note, we also have Syria, right next to Iraq. Well, you may say Russia this, Russia that, Russia was protecting Assad. Well, Assad invited Russia to protect their assets in the Mediterranean, Tartus, which is a base, a harbor, Russian harbor. And yeah, that is why Russia was protecting Syria. Now, the US is also in Syria. Russia had left. Russia has another war in Ukraine. So they left Syria. But the United States is still in Syria, in Palmyra. So explain that to me, It's wrong for a big country to attack a small country. Is it right for a big country to have their troops in that small country? Is that the right thing to do? No. Very, very sad thing what's happening in and around our beautiful planet. We could reach the stars, but no, we fight over religion, over land, and over minerals, resources, and stuff like that. It's very, very sad. Very, very sad. Lots of people are like in a depression, not willing to speak out because it's too much. It's way too much to handle for most people, right? So we saw the Greek protest, farmers' protest. We saw the Dutch farmers' protest. We saw the protest in Brussels. And the European Union is falling apart, right? We have Hungary and Slovakia blaming Ukraine for sabotaging a pipeline because Russian gas and stuff like that. There's so much going on, right? So much going on. But we need to look at the future, 2026. How will that look like, right? What will our future be? Will our kids be kidnapped just as in Ukraine, where, people don't want to fight? They kidnap these people and put them in the Donbass, in the Eastern Front. Will that happen in the Netherlands or will it not? If it will happen in the Netherlands, then the Dutch people are like, well, okay, the government says it. We are being prepared for war. And there is a term in the Netherlands used in the last 2 years, sneuvelbereidheid. Are you ready to die for your country? Sneuvelbereidheid. And they've been pushing this for the last 2 years because there's a war with Russia. So we don't want war, we want peace. That is what we want, right? We want peace. So, yeah. Are you with me or are you against me? It's your choice to decide. But I want peace. I want prosperity back in my country. I want people to be happy within my country. I don't want murders to happen and rapes and whatever else in my country. I don't want that. I don't want a government that sees us as a subsidy cow, right? And just ask more money. I want a government that works for the population. I don't want a government that works against the population, right? That is not what we want, right? I wish we had a figure such as Donald Trump in the Netherlands, right? We had such a figure named Pim Fortuyn, but he was assassinated by the left, and now he's running loose. You know, nothing happening with him. Nope. He even got money from the government to keep himself quiet. Yeah. And so no media attention for that guy. Nope. We need to forget this. Well, we at RHTVLive do not forget. Volkert van der Graaf, your time is up, right? Your time is up. He was the one who killed Pim Fortuyn, and we need to know more. Was he a scapegoat or whatever else? You know, we hear nothing. No? So we want answers. We want the farmers to farm, whether it's Greece or the Netherlands or whatever country else, right? We want the farmers to farm, and we want to be left alone by the government. That is what we want. So we're going to take a look at the Duran.
All right, Alexander, let's talk about the meetings that are taking place in Brussels, focusing on the Russian frozen assets, or actually two plans which are now at play. The one plan is the Russian frozen assets and this reparations loan, I believe it's called, right? Yeah. Reparations loan, using the Russian frozen assets. And the second plan, Plan B, is Eurobonds, is collective borrowing, collective debt, and EU member states borrowing money and sending the money to Ukraine. Orban is defiant, and he is saying that the first option, the Russian frozen assets, is off the table. But I've been convinced from various diplomats taking part in these discussions who are saying no, that option is still on the table. And Ursula is signaling that she is not going to allow anyone to leave Brussels until they have money for Ukraine, 210 million euros or 225, billion euros or $225 It really does remind me of Greece, 2012, 2013. And Cyprus and all of that was going on back then, and they eventually found a solution, if you want to call it that. I think they'll find a way to get the money to Ukraine as well. What are your thoughts?
I absolutely agree. Now we have two options, as you say. One is the loan. We're using the Russian frozen assets as collateral. We've discussed this in several times now. That plan is illegal. I mean, it is completely contrary to every conceivable law that you can imagine. The ECB has said that. The IMF has said that. The Bank of Japan apparently has said it. The Bank of England and the British banks have warned Starmer that a similar plan in Britain would also be illegal. So, I mean, issues of illegality there all over the place. The other option, which is Eurobonds, I think we should just say this is illegal too. It's contradictory. It contradicts the provisions of the treaties. But as you absolutely rightly say, this train is, it's left the station. It's now steaming ahead. There is the issue that Ukraine is going to collapse financially if it doesn't get money to cover next year. There was even an article in the Daily Telegraph which said as much, by the way. So the Daily Telegraph tells you this, then you really can't dispute this any further. Ukraine is going to run out of money next year. So they don't want to have that happen. They are
using Ukraine to pump and dump, right? First they give money to Ukraine, and Ukraine gives it away to other countries and keeps the majority of money within their pockets, right? And gives a little to warfare. This is why the war is prolonged, right? They don't want to end the war. They don't care. They don't care, you know? They want to prolong the war. They want a longer war so they can profit from it, right? We have friends of Zelensky who have a brothel, you know, and these people, they don't care. They really don't care. They're willing to take a look if we can find that link. If you have some patience here. It's very, very sad. You know, a friend of Zelensky actually, you know, has a brothel and is profiting from the brothel, right? So it's sad. It's sad. Many Ukrainians are, you know, on the brink, and it's inhumane, right? It's inhumane. So let's see if we can find the link about that brothel. Wait, share this here. There we go. Massive blast engulfed Pravoberezhny market in St. Petersburg on December 10th, right? But we're looking for that link from a Ukrainian woman speaking about brothels and stuff like that. Let's see if we... Here, ex-minister Dio Kuleba promised even when weapons run out, Ukrainians with shovels, but he fled Ukraine. This is not the link we were looking for. He's out partying, right? And not fighting the war. Nope. Very, very sad. This is also something coming from England, right? You've probably seen this.
And once again, we've been let down by the UK government, and Rachel Reeves has made the British taxpayer a legitimate target. Welcome to Great Britain, where the working man lives the country. He works, he pays, he sacrifices. Rachel Reeves promises growth, yet somehow the only thing growing is council tax and the price of cheese. Hotels filled with migrants, all bills covered, 3 meals, warm rooms, paid by the man eating cold beans after a night shift. Then we have Barry, who hasn't worked since twisting his ankle in 2015, but his benefits arrive like Christmas every month without fail. The working man carries a nation that forgets him. He funds a system that drains him, but they say it's fine, they need another hotel. And while we're holding out hotel rooms like 3 minutes at a dentist, there's another soldier, the British farmer, the man who feeds the country yet barely feeds himself after the supermarket price cuts and fuel hikes. He wakes up before dawn, works through storms that would evacuate cities, and sells his life labour for less than a London pint.
Come on, lads. I'll just put you off. Let's go.
Now, we don't know if this is like a real warning to the British government, but we do know that in Ireland, the same has been going on, right? So let's take a look at this here. This is warning for the politicians in Ireland.
To the people of Newry, Mourne and Down, we, the New Republican movement, have watched their councillors and MLAs over the past 12 months. The level of disrespect shown to the people who put you into power, this cannot be ignored any longer. We are proud men of Ireland, we are patriots. Your policies and decision-making in regards to flooding our communities with undocumented military-aged men is not acceptable. We will not sit back any longer and watch our culture and religion destroyed by the people we put in power. Also, the sexual indoctrination of our children in schools has not went unnoticed either. The New Republican movement will take immediate action against anyone who threatens our ways of life and the safety of our women and children. We have your addresses and known your movements. Every one of you are a legitimate target. The New Republican movement, 28/11/25.
So this is happening in Ireland, right? Everything is on fire in Europe. Now let's see if we can find that link. We got a better idea. Diana. There we go. This is a Ukrainian woman, news reporter, right? And she got punished by the Zelensky regime. And she basically posted about the brothels. Let's see if we can find that somewhere on this timeline. Former energy minister claims that he became a victim of Zelensky and Yernok's centralization of power. He fears that these corrupt people will take over the entire state-owned company. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, the dark side of Zelensky's rule. She has enough to some country. 10,000 Ukrainian troops surrounding them in Pukhovsk. Yeah. So this is all happening within Ukraine. And she published about the brothels. I don't know if we can find it. But we will. Don't worry about that. So there's enough happening in and around our beautiful planet. And we need to take notice of what's happening, right? We need to take notice that we have a government not working for the interest of the people. Yeah. We need to take notice of that. So it's sad what's happening, because we also have a woman in Kharkiv selling babies and such. Very, very sad. But we're going to search for the link. You just grab a coffee and we'll have the link within a couple of minutes if we can find it. So, yeah, this is all happening. We're not making this up. We're showing you guys the images of what's happening. And, you know, it takes a while, but we will find it. Yeah, we will warn the audience on what's happening in and around our beautiful planet. We also have this here to see. President Putin We would prefer to do this peace through diplomacy by addressing the root cause of the conflict, which is you put in an illegal government killing off their own population and such. So we're going to take a look at President Putin.
Мы предпочитали бы делать это и устранить первопричины конфликта с помощью дипломатии. Если же противоборствующая страна,
But if the opposing side
их зарубежные покровители
and its foreign patrons refuse serious dialogue, yeah, here it comes.
от разговора по существу откажутся, Россия добьется освобождения.
Russia will secure the liberation of its historical lands by military means. He's not fooling around. You know, he's not fooling around. So, who knows? Maybe we will be liberated by Putin. Who knows? We're going to take a look at what's happened in Brussels whilst we look for the link. We have found the link after diligently searching for the link. So here we go. Our investigation about Vitaly Klitschko owning a network of brothels in Ukraine got 6 million views on X, but one country blocked it, Germany. According to Debat, 50% of brothel employees in Berlin are Ukrainians. Klitschko has German citizenship. So there are brothels in Ukraine, you know, kids being sold in Ukraine, all for the sex industry. And the Dutch government is supporting all this, right? So very, very sad thing to see that the Dutch government is giving trillions and trillions of euros to this corrupt regime in Ukraine. So let's take a listen to what's happening here. Max van den Berg is hosting, and this is the Black Pill Journal. It's all in Dutch though, but we're going to take a listen to this here.
De rechter heeft eigenlijk de juridische systemen opzij moeten zetten, omdat het zo urgent is. Zo wordt het dan in de media gebracht. Om snel wetten te kunnen wijzigen, moet het dan bij de rechtbank eerst worden afgetikt.
Nou goed, overigens een van die rechters, dat heb ik nog niet eens in die video verteld, daar gaan we misschien een vervolg van maken, om het nog gruwelijker te maken allemaal. Dat was die rechter van die krankzinnige zaak van Milieudefensie tegen Shell. Dat dus de gewonderde Milieudefensie, die dus zeiden van Shell moet stoppen met olieboren, bij wijze van spreken. Ja, ongelooflijk. Die rechter, die dus Milieudefensie heeft laten winnen in opdracht van Timmermans, dat is dus de rechter die nu getrouwd is met de vader van Lisa. Van het Argos-verhaal. En die man heeft dus zijn eigen kleindochter dus vermoord, zou ik maar zeggen. Later vermoorden door die groep elitepedofielen.
That's very interesting to listen to, right? I think we said enough for now. There's a lot happening in Europe. And of course, we're looking at the things that are happening. The Netherlands is very, very corrupt. We just heard of the judges and such. So, yeah, it's a very corrupt country. But still, we are fighting for our freedoms. We want to be free. That is what we want. We don't want a totalitarian government. We don't want that. We want peace. We want peace in Ukraine. We want peace in Russia. We want peace. That is what we want. We want peace in Syria, right? We talked about Syria before, and there were 2 American soldiers killed in Syria. What are the Americans still doing there? They were never invited. So get the hell out of Syria, And other places, we need peace. We need peace. That is what we need. We don't want war. Now, Trump is holding the line at Venezuela, cutting off everything that they can get from other countries, cutting off their port, putting warships within reach of Venezuela. And, this is all happening. And Trump is not going to attack Venezuela. They are holding the line, right? Just as Kennedy did with Cuba once. And those sanctions are still enacted, right? He's doing the same with Venezuela. So, yeah. We hope there will be peace. We hope that Syria will survive, for example, because we have al-Jolani that does not have control over all of Syria. We have the Kurds in the northeast of Syria. We have other factions and the Americans in Syria. The war is not over. It's in a new phase, but it's still not over. We have an Al-Qaeda leader in Syria acting as a president, attacking minority groups such as the Alawites, the Christians, and the Druze, and stuff like that, So Syria is still not safe. And our Dutch government says, oh, you worked for Al-Qaeda? Yeah, you are our friend. Yeah, we're going to shake hands with you. Yeah, even though you killed a lot of Syrians and stuff like that, we're going to shake hands with you. It's sickening that our government is doing this, right? And you may say, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, I'm not. We're going to take a look at some images of our president meeting with al-Jolani, where he's shaking hands with the big terrorist named al-Jolani. So let's see if we can find those images. We actually have Dick Schoof, who met the big terrorist, and shook hands with that guy. It's amazing. It really is amazing. So, and Dick Schoof says, yeah, we're doing something against terrorism. No, you're not. You're supporting terrorism. Yeah, that's what you're doing. You're supporting terrorists. So, let's see if we can find the images. Let's see. No images yet to be found, but we are still searching, right? So here we have all sorts of images. Dick Schoof, Al-Jalani, Syrië president. We do have this here, 9 per News. Stating that Dick Schoof was shaking hands with the Al-Qaeda guy. Here we have Dick Schoof with Al-Jalani, who had killed many, many Syrians. And Dick Schoof said, yeah, you're doing good. You're doing good. This is our current prime minister, even though he's also going to go because we're going to get a new cabinet. Hopefully, who knows, maybe the Dutch will say, Brussels, you decide for us. We are too stupid to do something for the Netherlands. Too corrupt. So here we have our current prime minister hands with a killer, sponsored by Erdogan. That's Turkey. And very, very sad thing to see. And this guy here says, we are fighting terrorism. No, you're not. You're supporting terrorism, you idiot. You stupid idiot. You are supporting Nazis in Ukraine. Now, you may say, you're on the Russian side and blah, 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 blah. No, we're not. We don't choose sides here. We know what's happening in Ukraine. We followed it from 2014 to now. We know that there was a coup in Ukraine. Victoria Nuland, we played these images constantly. She was giving out cookies and stuff like that. So we changed the regime under Yanukovych, even though, those elections were, for the normal person, it's hard to follow, right? But it was 50-50, Yanukovych against Tymoshenko, and a judge said Yanukovych has won. So Yanukovych was not really, a popular president in Ukraine. Now Yanukovych got 2 contracts, one saying you can join the EU and another saying you can join the Russian Federation. Now, what did he choose? He chose the Russian Federation, which enacted a red light in Washington. Victoria Nuland got into action and put in radicals in Kiev. So we are supporting an illegal government. And we are supporting a terrorist government in Syria. What does that say about our government? What does that say about our government in the Netherlands? Very, very sad thing to see. We put in millions and millions of euros to overthrow Assad. I'm not for or against Assad, but that was a lot better than Al-Jolani, who's killing Alawites and Druze and other minorities in Syria, just for the fun of it, right? So we are speaking out against the atrocities happening in and around our beautiful planet, and we despise the government for doing this to other countries. Leave these countries alone. We have 500,000 Syrians in the Netherlands because our government was blind and said Assad is a dictator. We need to get rid of the guy, and now we have 500,000, take or give, 500,000 Syrians in the Netherlands. Now we have a housing crisis that was before the Syrians came into the Netherlands, because we also attacked Afghanistan. There are lots of Afghans in the Netherlands. We also attacked Libya, lots of Africans, North Africans in the Netherlands. We attack all these countries and we say Russia is bad. Russia is bad. We don't look at ourselves, right? No, that's not what we're here for, right? We look at Russia. Russia bad. Russia bad. What about Turkey attacking the northeast of Syria? What about Turkey sponsoring HTS to take over Damascus? What about that? There are two opposing sides in Syria. We have Israel, then the Golan Heights, which is a part of Syria, basically. And we have Turkey, right? Now, Israel is going towards Damascus, and Turkey has their own proxy within Damascus. So the Syrian people are still not free, right? We want freedom. That is what we want. We want a government that looks at foreign wars and such and, resolves these wars. Resolves these wars. We also have Sudan, which is in a turmoil for 3 years now. We have the RSF, the paramilitary force against the military force that overthrew the civilian government, and they are now infighting over who is going to take power in the capital, Khartoum, right? So we have that going on. No one is looking at that. Nope. We have Yemen going on. There's still a war going on there. First, we had drones attacking the population in Yemen, and the population said, no, we don't want that. We're going to give our grievances to the government. The government had fled to Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia says, we're going to reinstall you. And within the power vacuum, one of the terrorist groups took over, right? The paramilitary group. We have Hamas, which is in Gaza. We have Hezbollah, and we have the Houthis in Yemen. And Hezbollah is in the south of Lebanon, right? We also know that Lebanon is still being attacked by Israel, right? Because they say there are fighters, Hamas fighters, in the south of Lebanon. We saw this before in history, which ended up in the Lebanon's civil war and such. During the civil war, you had Syria installing a puppet government in Lebanon and such. We know we actually had placed a lot lot of Dutch troops in Lebanon, right, during the war. So there is more to tell, but I think I've said enough for now. We need to take focus on what's happening within and around the Black Sea, right? Look out for the Turk Stream pipeline. You know, that is a target because Hungary had said to Turkey, we need to deal with the Turk Stream pipeline to get Russian gas from you guys. So that is a target, and let's hope that there will be peace. Donald Trump had promised peace, but we still have war. So, yeah, that's it for now. I thank you all for watching. I thank you all for listening. You know, giving some geopolitics here. Very, very important stuff, you know. So, I'll see you guys next time. And yeah, bye from the cat. Please like, share, and subscribe.